Welcome, everybody. I see folks from UK, Italy, New York, Canada. Great to see everybody. I'm going to kick things off. My name's Katie O'Leary, UX researcher working with the ADK team. Super excited to host another community call, the last of the year, and we have a lot of presents in store for you. So let's get going. So welcome here. We're really excited to have these monthly community calls with you. We get to know you. We get to share the latest with you. So this is a really exciting opportunity for us. And as we go along, feel free to drop in, your questions, your username, what you're building with agents. Drop them into the chat there, and we're going to keep an eye on that chat throughout. A reminder to join our community group to get access to the call invites, the decks, and recordings. So I'll drop the link into our chat momentarily. Today we have an action-packed agenda, so super excited. We're going to share Advent of Agents, some holiday presents for you to try out over the holiday. We'll share release highlights, coding agents with AI. We have a tutorial on that, and a lot of you asked about anti-gravity and ADK last time, so we've got something to share with you there. We'll have demos from our ADK engineers on Bidirectional Streaming and our new visual builder for ADK. And then, of course, we'll get to your questions as always. We'll reserve time at the end to address some of your biggest questions. We also have a survey that's live this time. We don't have polls, so we'd love for you to hop into a brief survey so we can get a pulse on how you're feeling and what's important to you. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Shubham to share with you Advent of Agents. Shubham.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Before that, I just wanted to take 10 quick seconds to say, really excited to see this call getting bigger and bigger. This is just the third iteration, and we are really enjoying all the feedback we are getting from the community, all of you guys. So stay tuned for the next year. There's a lot that's coming in the next year. And today we have this Advent of Agents. So for this winter season, the month of December, we decided to put together all the updates that we did in 2025 and show it to you and present it to you in the form of bite-sized learning content. So these are like 5-minute daily kata style learning blocks, which opens up every day at 9 a.m. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen this or are following this, but if you're not, you can just go to adventofagents.com and you'll see these cards popping up. And this is a archive that will stay live for a long time. So you can just take this course or go through this material at your own pace. Start, if you haven't already started, start with day one, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of value. The focus of this is on building agents, deploying them, observability, and all of the features around it. So the quick action that you can follow to stay updated with this is click on that subscribe button, the red button that you see on the top, and you'll get a daily email with whatever new is coming up. And today is already an exciting day with Gemini 3 Flash, and what's better than building agents with Gemini 3 Flash? So today's card is focused on building ADK agents with Gemini 3 Flash. And you can follow this material or content anywhere on the platform of your choice. We're sharing it on LinkedIn. We're sharing it on X. A lot of our team members have put a lot of effort in putting all of this together. So follow along, give your feedback. Let us know what you would want to see in the future cards. We have a lot of flexibility to give you exactly what you would want. So don't shy away from feedback. Drop it in the chat what you would want to see. And any value, any learning that you're getting from this, we would love to hear more about that. So adventofagents.com is where we want to go to learn about all the things that has happened at Google around agents in 2025. And please feel free to drop your feedback either in the chat or the feedback from that Katie would share on what next you would want to see from ADK team, from agents team, or from Google in general. So that's me. Katie, we can move on to the next one.
Thanks, Shubham. Great. Next, we have up release highlights by our PM, Julia. Julia, take it away.
Hey everyone, first off, thank you all for joining us, and I'm super excited to share a couple of really cool updates that we have for all of you within ADK. with some of the products that Google has released and announced. So as you've kind of seen with our fairly regular releases and adding lots of new libraries to help all of you all build, we've also been integrating this into kind of a lot of the things that are coming out from a broader Google perspective. So we dropped the Interactions API last week, which is a kind of new unified interface designed for agentic applications. And from day one, ADK it's possible to use ADK together, and you will continue to see us kind of iterate on this one. So definitely check this one out. Really exciting. Lots of cool stuff in the works for that side as well. Then Katie, if we can go to the next one. The highlight for today, and the thing that I think everyone has been waiting for. Welcome to the family, ADK TS. We are so excited to have an ADK available in TypeScript. I know it is the thing that everyone has been asking me for a very long time. Some of you have actually seen it because it has been dark launched for a little bit, and really excited to see this go live, to have a complete family, as you can see here, for the ADK libraries. And can't wait to get your feedback on this front. I will really excited to get kind of you testing and building with it, and let us know what you think. So please feel free to take some time to scan the QR code here. You've got the install as well. Can't wait to get you all using this. And with that, there's one more really exciting thing happening today. It feels like Christmas morning. Welcome to the family, Gemini 3 Flash. Flash models are the most popular models within ADK. And we see a lot of our developers, a lot of customers using these. And so we're really excited to bring Gemini 3 Flash directly into ADK. Again, you've got the blog post here to scan and learn more. As Shubham just mentioned, you also have a pattern directly available in the advent of agents today, as well as a command for the starter pack that will allow you to get started with Gemini 3 Flash immediately. So really exciting here. Lots of great updates for you to do some testing and building over the holidays. And then last but not least, we do have some updates from a tools perspective. We've brought into MCP support within ADK. We have updated some of the tools around BigQuery, which I know are really, really popular for the community, as well as a new registry that will be supported within ADK directly, so you can actually register tools and use them from a more structured organizational perspective, not just at the individual developer level. So really exciting things coming. There's also a lot of partner integrations that have landed on that front, and you'll continue to see us invest heavily on this in the new year. So really appreciate all the work that the broader team here has done. There's a ton of cool stuff going, and we're just excited to get started. And hopefully also in the next community call, share a little bit more about our roadmap for Q1 of 2026.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. And now we have Chris coding ADK agents with AI. Chris, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Hey, ADK users and community. We are super happy and excited to see you here. And I wanted to give you all an update. Last time we had this meetup last month, the #1 question we had was, how do you code with Gemini CLI and anti-gravity, given that it's anti-gravity was just released just before our last community call. And so we have had a laundry list of things to do ever since we launched ADK back in April. And ADK TypeScript is our 4th language. And so one of the things we've been thinking hard about is how to code with coding agents and build ADK in an easier way that you can do with these tools. So I wanted to give you an update about how we're handling llms.txt. We've refactored how we do this. This is one step of many to make ADK more vibe coding friendly and easier for agents to navigate the documentation. So basically, llms.txt, if you're not familiar, is a standard. It was originally intended for search engines and agents to tell them how to crawl a website. Think of it like a sitemap or robots.txt. And so the old way that we handled llms.txt was we tried to manually craft one and include some hints about how to use ADK and some links to the documentation. And the downsides of this were we had to manually update this llms.txt and we put it in the Git repos. Really only had one in the docs repo and one in the Python repo. So as of a couple of weeks ago, we made a big change in how we vendor this now. So now, as part of every single docs build that happens on the back end, we regenerate a new llms.txt and llms full.txt. So this means anytime we add a feature or a language like TypeScript, this is now enabled in our llms.txt. The other big change is it's now served from the documentation site as opposed to having to go to the GitHub repo. So what does this mean for you? This means that you can point your favorite coding agent like Gemini CLI or anti-gravity to this new llms.txt, and it's all very agent friendly. It'll get an index of all the pages and actually be able to crawl through and look at sample code while you're doing that. So I'm going to take over the screen and just show you what that looks like, and you can configure these yourself. So I'll share my screen. I think that's coming through okay. There we go. Okay, so first things first, there's a new documentation page. If you go to build agents, and there is a documentation page for coding with AI. And so on this page, we talk about llms.txt, and we have really easy setup instructions for Gemini CLI and for anti-gravity. So what does that actually look like? So I'll pop open a window here and show you what that, what the difference actually is in Gemini CLI, and then show you how you can do this with anti-gravity. So if I start Gemini CLI and I ask a question with nothing configured, and I say, how do you create an agent in ADK with a tool that connects to GitHub? You've probably done this before, and if you're like me, you paste in documentation, or you put in links to documentation, or you point to a local markdown file where you've kind of hinted at what to do. So out of the box, Gemini will search Google, which is a good start, and it'll search for agent development kit, create agent with GitHub. And after about a minute, it'll come back usually and say, you need to write a custom function tool, use the GitHub API and the Python client to do that. So that's so you'll get code that looks kind of like this, right? So you'll have kind of a manual call to GitHub and the API, which will work, but it's not optimal. And the harder questions you ask about ADK, this is not going to do a very good job at capturing that. So what you can do instead is a one-liner, and you can say, I want to install the Gemini extension for ADK docs. This is the one that shows up in the on the Gemini extensions page. So I simply install that. That's going to point the Gemini CLI to our new llms.txt and give it a prompt to do a better job at searching documentation. So now when I send the exact same prompt, how do you create an agent in ADK that with a tool that connects to GitHub, it's going to ask to allow the use of this MCP tool, and it's going to actually search documentation. So here's a dump of the current llms.txt. Gemini CLI is going to see, oh, there's a GitHub page. I should probably go to that tool page, extract that sample code, and write an agent. So just like that, we get way better, up-to-date documentation and code, and I can start coding this up in Gemini CLI. So try that extension out if you're a Gemini CLI fan, or if you're using anti-gravity, you can follow the steps on the documentation page, and really all you need to do is add this code to add an MCP server that points to the ADK docs. So I'll show you that really quick. We go in anti-gravity to MCP servers in the agent menu, manage MCP servers. On this page, there is a view raw config screen. I can paste in that JSON block that has a link to the ADK docs and llms.txt. And if I refresh my tools, I get a list doc sources and a fetch docs. And now any kind of prompts that I put in to anti-gravity will be able to search the ADK docs and read them in a much smarter way. So it's fun to try without and with, and you can really see a night and day difference of how you're building agents. And what this means is we can go jump back to the slides now. I'll stop sharing. So I'll give you a resources page where you can look at, so there's our documentation page for coding with AI. You can see the simple steps to enable this in Gemini CLI or anti-gravity or your favorite vibe coding environment. And try out some prompts. You can actually have things like anti-gravity do an ADK run and actually interactively test your agent. You all probably know that anti-gravity has a way of doing browser testing. So you can actually have it do browser testing and create eval sets. So try it out. we're super excited, and any docs updates we push, including new languages, will just work with this new method. So happy vibe coding and happy using ADK. Try this out and see what you can build super easily with our new vibe-friendly ADK docs. I'll hand it back to Katie. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Looks like we're going to be keeping everybody busy over the holidays, so there's never a dull moment with ADK. I want to switch over now and hand it off to our engineers. We have Kaz, Sato, Yifan, Wang, who are here, going to show some cool stuff around Bidirectional Streaming and our new visual builder. So Kaz, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Katie. So let me share my screen first. Okay, streaming. Okay. Hi, I'm Kaz. I'm a developer advocate based in Tokyo, focusing on the Bidirectional Streaming and grounding and the vector search products. And I had been writing the many documents on the Bidirectional Streaming, and now we have a comprehensive the developer's guide for the Bidirectional Streaming. So now it's ready to get started for the production deployment. So if you go to the documentations, ADK docs documentations, you can find the section called Bidirectional Streaming, where I have put the tons of the contents, videos and samples, especially the new, I like to feature the new demo applications here today, and also the new development guide series, which has the 5 parts, where you can learn everything is about the Bidirectional Streaming, how you can control the functionality of the Web API from the ADK. So let me share the demonstration quickly. By the way, let me share the tab first. Yeah, this is the ADK samples page for the Bidirectional demo. So anyone can try this out at your local machine, so you can see how it works on your laptop, how the Bidirectional Streaming works. And it is also a reference architecture when you want to build production Bidirectional Streaming applications from scratch. So please take a look at. Let me quickly show a video of this demo. Okay. So, example of Tokyo. Let me play the video from the start. Hi, what's the current time and the date of Tokyo?
The current time and date in Tokyo, Japan is 4:47 p.m. on December 9th, 2025.
As you can see, this demo, I hope that you have listened to the audio from my the demo video, but this demo is created for do the debugging and watching what's happening with the Bidirectional Streaming API from your the browser. So you can see all the events you're getting from the API on the browser, and also you can check out the details of each event, like the audio transcriptions event you're getting while you're talking or the agent is talking. So it's designed to make it easier to debug your Bidirectional Streaming setup. And you may know that the Bidirectional Streaming that is based on the Web API, but we add all the functionality of the ADK onto it. So it's not just the same wrapper of the Web API. Instead, it provides tons of the additional functionalities, such as the agent framework itself, tool execution, whereas the raw Web API, with the raw Web API, you have to do everything from scratch, like calling the function by yourself or everything, so catching the tool execution event, everything. But with ADK Bidirectional Streaming, you don't have to do that. All the tool calls are executed automatically. This is the beautiful part. And also, we support the streaming tool. That means each tool can generate an intermediate status to the agent on live without finishing the entire tool call. So for example, if I have implemented the deep research functionality for the demos I will be showing later, but it takes like 20 seconds to finish the deep research. But during that, my deep research tool is generating an intermediate status to the agent, so agent can make the progress update to the users. So that's super powerful functionality. And also it does everything about the connection management, because the Live APIs is supposed to be lose its connections every 10 minutes. So you have to do the session resumption by yourself. But ADK that does that, and event and async framework it has, and also session persistence. So you can store everything in the Live API sessions to the ADK session. That's the functionality we add. So let's see another demo.
Thank you. What's the current stock price of Alphabet?
The most recent closing price for Alphabet Class A was 300. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
So yeah, it's a demonstration of the interruption. So I interrupted to the agent, so it instantly detects the interruption and listen to the user. So this is the power of the bidirectional the communications. The agent is always listening to you while it's speaking. Also, you have noticed that it has the auto transcriptions for the both input and output. And also, you can access all the built-in tool like a Google search to get the stock price. Let me show this.
Hi, what do you see in the image?
In the image, I see a plant with long green leaves, a floor lamp with a rectangular shade, and some textured wall panels in the back.
The one thing I noticed while I'm building the tool, the demos with this BiDi streaming is that sometimes it's much easier to send just one picture or the series of pictures to the agent to share the user's context without typing many requests from the users or sharing the many the history of the users by text. So BiDi streaming supports the image processing, so it's much easier for the users to share the context.
Hi, I just purchased an item from your e-commerce site and it doesn't work. What's happening here?
I understand this is frustrating. Can you tell me more about what item it is and what seems to be the issue with it?
So it supports the latest advanced features of the Live API, such as the effective dialogue, where it has the reasoning capability that senses the tone of your voice, not just the words like I'm angry or I'm frustrated, but it senses your emotions by its tone, voice tone, to make a reasoning about how to handle this user, what is the best way to respond to that user's request. So it's a very suitable for the consumer-facing apps like the e-commerce, the agent bot, or something like that. So those are the main features of the demonstration. So you can try that by yourself on the BiDi demo repo on the ADK samples. And also, finally, I'd like to share some interesting demo that is called Shopper's Concierge. Shopper's Concierge demo is originally built for the next Las Vegas this year, but I'm refurbishing it with the latest native audio model and all the functionalities we provide with the BiDi streaming API right now. So let me share this.
Hello, I'm Shopper's Concierge, and I can help you explore our e-commerce site, which has about 10 million items. What can I help you with today?
Can you find cups with dancing people?
Starting search for cups with dancing people. Search completed. Found 88 items for cups. The top 3 items are the Kilncraft Dancing Chorus Line mug, Halloween Dancing Ballet Skeleton mug, and the Vintage Favelina Dancers mugs. You can refine your search or let me know if you'd like more information on a deep research.
Now I'd like to find a birthday present for my 10-year-old son.
I can help with that. What kind of things does your son enjoy?
Toys.
Starting search for toys for your 10-year-old son. Search completed. Found 75 items for toys. The top 3 items are the Spider Toy walkie-talkies, the Advent Calendar 2024 fidget toys, and the 10-in-1 electric building toys. Let me know if you'd like to refine your search or start a deep research.
Deep research.
Would you like me to start a deep research on
Yes.
toys for your... Starting deep research for toys for your 10-year-old son. Found 5 item categories: STEM building kits, action figures and collectibles, outdoor adventure gear, board games and strategy games, and creative and craft kits. Starting deep research for birthday presents for your 10-year-old son. I found 5 item categories: STEM building kits, action figures and collectibles, outdoor adventure gear. The deep research has finished. Concierge's pick has been sent, featuring the top items from the deep research results. Would you like to hear about any of the categories or
So that was the demos, and this is not public yet, but I'm working on making it public as an open source and publicly accessible demo with all the latest functionality from the latest ADK by the streaming API. So please stay tuned for these demos in the future. So that was it. Thank you so much. Back to Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaz. That was super cool, very timely. A new way to Christmas shop. Let me bring up my slides and hand it over to Yifan. And yeah, take it away, Yifan, on visual building.
All right. Cool. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. Hello, guys. Yifan here. I'm very excited to be here. For those who don't know me, I am the tech lead on ADK Web, and today I'll be sharing a very exciting feature that we launched in 1.18, the Visual Builder. So today I will be building a Hello World agent from scratch live on stream. So you guys can see how it works. All right. So in order to go to the Visual Builder or create an agent for in the Visual Builder, you can simply click this Create New Agent button next to the drop down. So this is the normal ADK Web interface that you are all familiar with. So clicking this, let's give it a name. I'll just call it Hello World. Okay, and then by clicking the create, you are now enter the Visual Builder interface. On the left side, you have the configuration panel for your agents, and on the right side, we have the assistant. I'll get to that later. All right, so for this demo, I really want to show you guys. So on the left side, this is the root agent, and you will be able to configure all the models, instructions, descriptions. On the left side, you can also create tools. Right now, we support function tool, building tool, and agent tools. You can also add a sub-agent by clicking this or clicking this. There are 4 types of sub-agents you can add. So the first one is LLM, and the rest are workflow agents. You can also add callbacks. So for this demo, let's actually create a sequential agent. So sequential agent is a type of workflow agent that executes in order of its sub-agents. So you will see the wrapper here, and then let's create another LM agent here. Let's actually call this sequential agent. And then within this, let's call this hello agent. And let's change the instructions to say, simply say hello. So this hello agent will be executed first, and then we can add another one that's going to be executed after the hello agent. Let's call this world agent. And simply say word. All right, and then the last thing we need is to change the instructions. Let me actually do that real quick. So when user says anything, just transfer to your sequential sub agent. You can move around things. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can also delete. You can do a lot of things here. So once you are done, you can simply click save. And then bam, you are back to the chat interface that you can test the agent you just built directly. So let's try that. Let's say hi. All right, there we go. You see the agent from the graph is transferred to the sequential agent, and then the hello agent says hello, and the world agent says world. Great. By the way, you can always go back to your agent configuration by clicking this. So you will go back to your Visual Builder, and then you can change anything you want. All right, I'm actually gonna show you the other feature, the assistant one. So let's try to use the assistant to build the exact same agent without us touching any of the node. So I'm actually call this hello world. Let's call it hello world 2. All right, now we are in this Visual Builder, waiting for the assistant. Okay, so the assistant is natural language based. So you can just simply say your request to the assistant. So here I am asking it to add a sequential sub-agent to my current root agent, and under this sequential agent, add 2 more sub-agents. One says hello, one says world, and then update the root agent's instruction to the one we had before. And the assistant came back and says, sounds good, but which model do you want to use? Let's actually use 2.5 Flash for now. All right, let's wait for a bit. Now the assistant will try to read everything and comes up with a plan. Okay, so it asks, it needs to read the root agent YAML. Sure. Yeah. All right. So here we go. So after it's done, you can see that it creates almost the exact same configuration as we had before manually. It has the sequential agent. It has the 2 sub-agents with the correct instructions, and also updated the instructions for the root agent as well. Great. Now we can click save. It will jump back to the Hello World 2 agent, and then let's test it out. Great. You can see it does the exact same thing. You can always go back and talk to the assistant and make any changes you want. All right. I think that's a demo for the Visual Builder. I also want to call out that the agent development kit web also supports light mode now. You can enter the light mode by clicking this. And this is actually a contribution done by our community member Omar. So a huge shout out to Omar. And we definitely love feedbacks and contributions like this to help grow ADK even better. All right, that's it for me. Give it back to Katie.
Thanks, Yifan. That's super cool. It's really nice to see contributions from the community as well. Super exciting for us. Let me bring up slides. So we just have a short segment here from Shubham on how to stay connected with us. So I'll hand it over just to let you know how to stay in touch. And
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Hope you guys enjoyed the updates and the demos that we had for you today. And as always, it doesn't have to end with this call. Now, ADK is available in multiple languages, so please feel free to go to the GitHub repo, follow, fork, start the repos, ADK Go, ADK Java, ADK Python, and today we release ADK TypeScript. So now ADK is pretty much available in the language of your choice, so feel free to go follow the repo, start it, fork it if you want. And as you heard from Yifan, Katie, we love community contributions. If you have anything, if there's any feature that is missing, feel free to open up an issue, or if you are super enthusiastic and excited, feel free to open up a PR and we will be super happy to review it. And So we also have a super active and growing Reddit community. If you are on Reddit, if you're active on Reddit, that's the place where you can have discussions with the team. We often have a lot of team members lurking around Reddit. So they are active answering your questions. Plus, most importantly, you can have conversations with the community members who are building alongside you. So that's a great asset to have. And last but not the least, we love feedback because your feedback is what is super important deciding what comes next. So as we enter into 2026, please take some time to fill the form that Katie would share at the end of this call or have already shared. And as usual, we love feedback, and it is like super, super important for us in deciding what comes next for ADK, even the agenda for the upcoming community calls. And lastly, you can stay in touch with us on LinkedIn and X. So feel free to reach out or tag any of the team members here on the call. We'll be super happy to see any contribution, any updates, any demos. Happy to reshare it with the community, with the wider Google team or the agent team. So yeah, stay in touch, stay connected, keep chatting.
Awesome. Thanks, Shubham. And now we have Q&A, and I know this time it's a little bit different because we've switched to the YouTube Live format. We can't, have you have your hand up and things like that, but we have captured a bunch of your questions that's streaming in through the chat. And so I wanted to open the floor to Google folks on the call. I know we've harvested a bunch of the questions we've seen today. If anybody wants to, address one of those. I think there's an easy one for admin of agents. Shubham, if you want to start with there, that would be great.
Yeah, so there's one question around advent of agents, how much time it would take for you to go through the material daily. So the reasoning behind that was it should not take you more than 10 or 15 minutes of your time. So the first thing that you start in the day to get like super productive or get into that Zen mode, productive mode, is start with learning one of the cool feature or cool updates around agents. Should not take you more than 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes 30, depending on where you are in your agent journey. Alan is here laughing. Alan, if you want to add a line or two about that, feel free.
I mean, we tried to keep it at 5. We did. We really tried. But then stuff grew. And then there's a video that's like, I think, a full almost 15 minutes. So like we tried to keep it at 5. I'm sorry. But there's so much good stuff.
We got too excited.
Yes, so 15 to 30 minutes, depending on where you are in your agent journey. But yes, still bite-sized content. Thank you, Alan.
We try to keep it real here and tell you the honest truth. I think we had some comments about the Interactions API. Julia, did you want to hop in on that?
Yeah, happy to. I think there's a blog post that will drop. Maybe someone can drop it into the chat. That is like a step-by-step guide on how to use the two of them together. So I think that's probably the easiest and fastest way to get started. I'll let someone from the team drop it into the chat.
Great, thanks. We had a question on llms.txt. Chris, did you want to hop in? I guess it wasn't a question, more of a comment there on, providing Markdown or JSON with the steps and documentation. Thanks for that feedback. Actually, that helps. I think we might have some docs folks on the call as well. So always happy to have your feedback on those things. Thank you.
Yes, I can make a quick comment on that too. When I first started using this docs llms.txt generator, I noticed that the links it was generating were Markdown, and I thought, wait, this can't be right. But actually, it is pushing Markdown equivalents of our docs pages out with each build. So if you actually follow those links, the agent's going to be following Markdown and not have to scrape and clean HTML. So super cool, and hopefully try it out and let us know. I love comparing like without any docs MCP with. Try it out and see. And if you're still getting stuck somewhere, you're not done yet. This is just the first stage. So we're absolutely looking to see where we go from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And Kaz, if you're still on the line, we had a bunch of questions around BiDi. Did you want to address some of those? A lot of excitement there.
Sure. Yeah. For the first questions, I have tried this by hosting Cloud Run, but quickly after running 4 to 5 minutes, it all disconnects. And this is the nature of the Gemini Web API. It quickly closes the WebSocket connections. So that's the reason why ADK has a very useful functionality called session resumption that transparently reconnect the connections with the Web API under the hood. So you can just, what you have to do is just enable the session resumption. That is the turned off by default. So please try enabling it. Another questions about if you have a very complex and specific tools, it might not transcribe correctly. And yeah, we are observing that this is not related to the tool call, but the audio transcription functionality is done by a different STT model, the speech-to-text call, the model, so that the main native audio model itself understands correctly, but sometimes you are seeing some misrecognized words in the transcription. But it's not related to the tool call or anything. So agents should be work as expected. The last question, the fact it pauses to query it for consent is a big plus. So this is not a question, but I think it's a feedback. But that's the part where I spent so much time on prompting the agent with the Bidirectional Streaming, because for the functionality such as deep research, it takes like 20 seconds. So it's really important to have a good railing, not just starting the long-running tool without having a consent with the user. So I think that could be a very interesting topic for the future contents, to build how to build them real-time user experience with the Bidirectional Streaming and scripting. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kas. That's great. And so just looking through the questions here quickly, I know there's more coming in. Google folks, do you want to hop in on some of these? There's questions around tool implementation of coding executioner. Yeah, sorry, we're trying to do this in real time, so bear with us for 1 minute.
I saw one come in, Katie, that I can speak to and give a link to in a second. There were a couple of questions about what does the roadmap look like for MCP support. I can at least speak to, there's a meta tracking issue in ADK Python. Of course, MCP is important to other languages too. There just happens to be a big issue there. I'm going to post a link to it, and it talks about which RFCs are relevant and like ordered for whether it's for performance or elicitation or authentication discovery. We're actually interested to hear, because there's so many RFCs and standards around this, obviously with the evolving MCP standard. So I'll point to the issue. We'd love to have you go in there, because that's a meta issue that links to a bunch of others, and tell us if you're looking for MCP support for auth discovery, which is the one I run into the most personally, or other parts. So take a look there, and that'll give you a little bit more insight and a path to kind of help us understand what parts of the complicated MCP RFC space you're interested in.
Thanks, Chris. Great. I know there's a couple questions. I saw one about RL training with agents. There's a few others here that we may need to get to offline. Sometimes we've been doing that on Reddit and Git, so you can also keep an eye out for offline answers. But yeah, please keep the feedback coming, positive or negative. We want to hear from you. There was a survey I just dropped into the chat, so please let us know what you want to see in the next calls, what topics are more important for you. Tell us how you're feeling, how you're doing with ADK. We want to stay connected and sort of tailor this for this community. So yeah, please stay in touch. And I believe that's a wrap.